So sitting cross-legged or just into a comfortable position where you can sit with a nice straight spine. And just softly closing your eyes or taking your gaze to the floor. So with the eyes closed, we can take the gaze internally. And just start to observe the physical body. Observing any areas you might be holding tension, feeling tight or injured. And as we move through the class today, we're going to be just looking at and exploring whether that tension and those tight spots, the blocked areas, whether that's physical or whether it's us holding on mentally. So while you're sitting here, just see if you can soften any areas that might feel a bit tight, relaxing through the shoulders, through your face. And relaxing through the hips. And through the pelvic floor. And noticing any parts of your body where that tension doesn't want to release. Maybe it just feels a bit stuck, or maybe it is an injury that you're working with. Just becoming aware. And we shift our focus from the physical body to the energetic body. And this can be a big expansive energy, reaching out up to 6 feet away from us. And sometimes that energy feels really small and contained. So check in with where yours is today. And sometimes we're really looking to expand that energy. But sometimes we're aware of blockages, restrictions, stopping that energy from expanding. And that's fine. That obviously means, or sometimes means, that you need to keep that energy to you, to yourself. So moving from the heart space, as you breathe, see if you can feel any restrictions. Does that energy move with the breath? Or does it feel like it gets stuck? And does your energy feel high energy or low energy? Just looking at the quality. Again, being mindful not to judge or add narrative to how you're feeling. And then start to observe your thoughts. Again, seeing if you can disengage with them and just watch them. Are they coming in fast? Is your mind scattered? Is it all over the place? Or is it feeling focused? Neither is right or wrong. Just observing where yours is today. And see if you can observe again the quality of the thoughts, the content without engaging with it. Where is your mind? And then observing your natural breath. And as always, observing the quality of this natural breath. So through our yoga practice, we can learn to control the breath, focus it, helping to focus our mind. But it's a really good starting point before you start to try and control anything or change anything, just to check in with where everything is naturally, where you're starting. And I'm going to leave it up to you today whether you choose to practice with an Ujjayi breath, if you feel the mind needs a little more focus, or whether you just want to stay observing your breath naturally through the practice. We're going to be doing quite a slow, gentle practice. So see what feels good, what feels right for you today. And from here, we're going to keep our eyes closed. If you don't like practicing with your eyes closed, you can keep the gaze low and try and kind of keep that soft focus. So we're not really taking that energy out of the body. And we're going to move forwards onto all fours. But with your eyes closed, feel down with the hands, through the knees, the shins, feet, just connecting down to the earth. And then start to move to your cat-cow, moving with the breath, your ujjayi or your natural breath. Good, and really feeling into each part of the body as you move. And then start to circle your hips. without worrying about if you're doing it correctly. Just letting your body lead the way. How big or small circles are, how much of the body moves, how it feels. And then change the direction of the circles. And then come back to the center. So bring your toes to touch. Take your knees mat width and sit back to the heels, stretching your arms forwards, coming into a nice active child's pose. So really reaching forwards through the fingertips, pushing the mat away through your hands so you push the sitting bones back towards the heels. And following the breath into the back of the body. And so if you meet any resistance, if you can breathe into it and allow it to soften. As you're holding this, notice if there's any unnecessary tension through the jaw or through the neck or the shoulders. Sometimes the tightness can be physical. Sometimes it's us gripping, us holding on. So just exploring which one that is. What can you let go of? Good. And on your next exhale, we're going to walk the hands over to the right side of the mat. And using that exhale to release any tension or energy we don't need. And then inhaling, come back to the center. Exhaling over to the left side. Good, and then coming back to the center. So we're going to keep the hands where they are, keep the legs as they are. On the inhale, we're going to lift the body up and come forwards into a fallen cobra. So we push the hips and the chest forwards and lift the feet and lift the gaze. As you exhale, rolling back, coming down into your child's pose. And inhaling, coming forward. So keep your eyes closed and feel the spine. Feel into the front of the hips. If it's painful doing this on knees, you can do a downward dog and rock forwards into an upward dog. Depends on your flooring. So on this last one, either holding your upward dog or the forward breath and taking a few breaths here. Notice the parts of the body that are holding you in the position, and then release any tension from any other space. Always softening through the face. And then on the exhale, back into child's pose. And from here, we're going to come into a child's pose twist. So we keep the left hand forwards and taking the right arm, we're going to reach the right arm underneath the left armpit and reach as far as we can, taking the right shoulder to the floor and resting the right side of the head down onto the mat. Let's hold 2 more breaths. And then coming back to the center. Coming into this neutral position, taking a nice deep breath in. Full breath out. As we move on to the left side, taking the left arm under. Coming down onto the left shoulder. Keeping that right arm stretched out, pushing the sitting bones back to the heels. And 2 more breaths. Good, and then coming to the center. So bring yourself up onto all fours. Knees and the feet to hip distance, tuck under, and stretch back to your downward dog. And hold it here. Bend in the knees if you need to. Feeling down through the hands and the feet. Pushing the mat away. Find length through the side body. Good. As you curl the sitting bones up towards the ceiling, then find that little activation through Mula Bandha, that gentle connection and lift around the pelvic floor. Not observing any unnecessary tension in your body as you hold this. And then slowly walk your feet to the top of the mat. So coming into Uttanasana. Good. And put a bend into your knees. So then pressing down into the feet. Gently roll yourself up. Heavy head and arms. And stack vertebrae one on top of the other as you come up to standing. Head coming up last. Okay, so we're going to take the feet slightly wide hip distance. We're going to have a good shake. So really starting to loosen up. We try and get the meat to both. Just hands, arms, head, legs. Feel everything wobble. Shake the hips, tummy. And then slowing it down. Come back to standing. And feel. And so as we come into this twist, we're going to be twisting the upper body and keeping the arms as loose as you can. So recognize if you're holding and doing this mechanically, or if you can really just let the arms be floppy. You know you're doing it properly when you're hitting yourself and it makes a noise. So let the shoulders flop. Let the wrists go floppy. Let the fingers go floppy. And a soft bend in your knees. Start to work the hands up towards the shoulders. Back down to the hips. And again, up towards the shoulders. And then back down to the hips. Good, and then slowing it down. As you come back to the center, eyes closed. So moving to the top of your mat, have the feet hip distance. Move into a gentle variation of Namaskar. So then you can do this with your eyes closed if you want. Inhaling, floating up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, lift to a flat back. Exhaling, step back to plank. Inhaling, lower the knees down. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, extending into cow. Exhaling, push back to your downward dog. Inhaling, step forwards, coming into your flat back. Exhaling, fold down, Uttanasana. Inhaling, rise up to standing, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling, Namaskar. Good. Inhale, floating your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, step back to plank. Inhale, the knees down. Exhaling, rounding into cat. Inhale, extending into cow. Exhaling, push back to downward dog. Inhaling, step forwards, coming to your flat back. Exhale, folding down. Inhaling, rise up to stand, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hand to Namaskar. So if you want to move your knees, chest and chin, you can. Inhaling, floating your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, step back to plank. Inhale, the knees down. Exhaling, going into cat or a Namaskar. Inhaling to cow or to cobra. Exhaling, push back to your downward dog. Inhale, step forwards, coming into your flat back. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, rise up to stand, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hand to Namaskar. Inhale, floating your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, step back to plank. Inhaling, the knees down. Exhaling, chest and chin, cat. Inhaling, lift to cobra or cow. Exhaling, push back to downward dog. Inhaling, step forwards, come into your flat back. Exhaling, fold down, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up to stand. Uttanasana. Exhale, Hatha Namaskar. Last one. Inhale, floating your arms. Exhaling forward. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, step back to plank. Inhale, knees down. Exhale, chest and chin or cat. Inhaling, lift to cobra or cow. Exhaling, push back to downward dog. Inhale, step forwards, come into your flat back. Exhale, folding down, Uttanasana. Inhaling, rise up to stand, Urdhva. Exhaling, Hatha Namaskar. Bring your arms down to your side. Again, eyes closed if you aren't already. Good. So we're going to bring the feet again slightly wider than hip distance. Soft bend into the knees. And we're going to move with our breath, rolling down through the spine. And then taking an inhale to come back up. And we're going to do it twice. So go at your own pace. We start taking a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, drop chin to chest. Just stop where you feel that first bit of resistance. On your inhale, breathe into that resistance. And as you exhale, roll down until you meet the next bit. Let the arms and the head hang heavy. As you inhale, breathe into that next bit. Exhaling, rolling down a little bit further. So as you work your way down your spine, recognize where those tight areas are, the bits that feel restricted. See if you can soften them. Maybe you're working with an injury and it's not an area that's ready to release. That's fine. Then don't push through. Just see if you can relax. And as you roll down, just hang in this dangling position for a couple of breaths with the head hanging heavy. The weight of the head gently stretching through the back of the neck. Good. And then taking an inhale to roll your way back up again. Good. So once more without me talking, taking a nice deep breath in. And go. And take a few breaths at the bottom, just hanging before you come back up. So again, standing into Tadasana at the top of the mat. Your inhale, floating your arms. Exhaling, forward fold. Again, keeping the eyes closed if it feels comfortable. Inhaling, lift to a flat back. Exhaling, step back to your plank and lower down to your knees. So we keep the knees and the feet hip distance, and we're going to be coming into puppy pose. So rate your modifier if it's not great for your back. So walking the hands forwards, and you keep your hips back over your knees. You're right in front of me. Good. If it pinches through the shoulders, take the hands wider. Give yourself some space, and just allow your heart space to melt down towards. Any pinching or funniness going on in the lower back, you can keep that gentle lift through Mula Bandha and support the lower back. You can gently press down in the feet as well, just starting to turn on those inner core muscles so we don't just sink into the back. Even though we're keeping this as an active pose and it's not necessarily a comfortable pose, see if you can soften into it. Is it your body stopping you from releasing down towards the floor? Or are you gripping? Are you holding? Just start to explore. So always looking for that balance of effort and force. So being mindful not to force our bodies to release, to actually allow them to release, giving them the space. You're just holding for a couple more breaths. Are you able to just let go a little bit more just for this last 2 breaths? And then slowly come back up to all fours. So just taking a little cat-cow, moving through the spine. And so from here, we're going to be coming into Gomukhasana legs, our cow face pose, just the legs. So we're going to bring the knees together, move my t-shirt, lift up the left leg and cross the leg behind the right leg, bringing the knee to the mat, and then open your feet wide. From here, we're going to sit back in between the heels. If you need to find a book or something to sit on, you can. And we're going to close our eyes because we're going to be holding this for a few minutes. Do that little scan of your body. From the crown of the head to the fingertips and to the toes. Notice if there's any areas where you're holding unnecessary tension or putting unnecessary effort. See if you can relax. If anyone finds that they want to go a little bit deeper in this sitting up variation, you can just shuffle the bottom foot, so the left foot, shuffle it forward slightly. And finding that balance of effort and force. If you go too deep into the pose to start with, your body will grip and tighten. It won't want to release. So if you can keep your focus onto your breath, try not to get caught up with the thoughts. Feeling sensations through the body and observing the breath. It might be enough for you to stay here. Otherwise, we're going to take a good deep breath in, lengthen up through the spine. And on the exhale, fold forward. So bringing the tummy and the chest to the thighs and rounding your head down towards your knee. Find the space that feels right for you today and soften down. Observing any feelings that might come up for you as you're holding this. Sometimes sheer frustration. Or can you just soften? If there's a point in this that feels like it just doesn't want to let go, an area that feels stuck, move away from it, move your focus away from that space and see if you can soften the areas around it. Begin holding for a few more breaths. And then slowly coming back up. Good. So if you want to, you can do our little twiddle to turn around. Otherwise, just swapping the legs over. So we're walking round anti-clockwise if you're doing the twiddle. I'm sticking to my mat. So be mindful of knees. So we're working towards getting the sitting bones down evenly. And if you want to come into this a little bit deeper, if you don't feel much when you sit back, just shuffling that bottom foot forward slightly. And close your eyes. Coming back to that scan of your physical body. Scan of the energetic body. Good. And when you feel ready, you can fold forwards. So lengthening up with the breath. Maybe it's enough to stay seated. And let your body lead you into the movement and allow it to release. Again, just observing, is it your body that's stopping you moving deeper? Or is it mental? Are you gripping and holding? Sometimes we're aware it's a mental tightness and it doesn't want to let go, and that's fine. Try not to push it to release, but just gently working up to the edge of the comfort zone. We're just holding for a few more breaths. Good. And then on the inhale, slowly coming up to sitting. So uncross your legs. Just come back into a neutral position, sitting with the legs out in front, knees bent if you want to. Good. And from here, we're going to come to lying on our backs. So bringing your knees in towards your chest as we come into happy baby. So the arms come down the inside. Take hold of the outside. So we cross in front of the legs. Take hold of the outside edge of the feet. You want the soles of your feet facing up towards the sky or the ceiling. And then relax your shoulders. And let the knees drop down towards the armpits. With each exhale, we allow this tension to melt down into the earth. Even though the fingers are holding, try not to grip hard. Notice if there's tension running through the arms and the shoulders and the neck. If you can let it go. Each inhale, you can gently lengthen the tailbone down towards the floor. Keeping that length with the exhale, allowing the knees to soften down. Again, observing, is the body holding or the mind? So just holding for a couple more breaths. And then gently releasing the feet. Lower your feet flat to the mat. Let the knees fall in together, arms down by your side, and relax. As you're lying here breathing, see if you can feel that softening of the pelvic floor as you inhale, allowing it to expand. And then we're going to bring the feet together and cross the right ankle over the left knee. Take your arms to the side, shoulder height. Anyone with back problems, don't do this with crossed legs, just keep the feet together, flat to the floor. So otherwise, taking a nice deep breath in. On your exhale, twist the knees over to the right side and turn your gaze to your left hand. Again, if it's too much with the weight of that right foot, just uncross the leg, coming into a gentle twist. And scan from the top to the bottom. Any areas that you can soften and release, let go. Good. And then gently uncross your legs. And on the inhale, come back up to the center. Then changing the cross, so crossing the left ankle onto the right knee. Move with the breath as you exhale, twisting over to the left side. And so turning the gaze gently towards your right hand if it feels okay for your neck. And start to let go. Good. And then uncrossing your legs, come back up to the center. Good. And gently hug both knees in towards your chest. Allow the hips to lift off the mat, giving the lower back a little bit of a stretch. And then extend your arms and legs down and come into Shavasana. So give your body space to relax, having the legs slightly apart, the arms slightly away from the upper body, back of your neck long. Well, before we come out of Shavasana, just do a little scan from top to toe. Is there any part of your body that you've been holding, that you haven't allowed to release? Are the fingers tense? The wrists? The shoulders? Could you be more comfortable? So now just bringing focus back to the breath. Observe the quality of your breath. And see if you can find that subtle pause at the bottom of the exhalation. And then give your fingers and toes a wiggle. Just gently hug your knees in towards your chest. Roll over onto one side and come up to sitting. And bring our hands in front of our heart center into prayer. Before we close, I just want you to take a moment and think of 3 things at this moment that you're grateful for. And then repeat that 3 times. And then we'll close the class chanting 3 Oms together. So taking a nice deep breath in. Fully exhale. And inhale for Om. 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 And then gently bowing your head. Namaste. Thank you, guys. You might need to unmute yourselves. I don't know how